Bradley Smith, it's been pretty much 2 weeks since you completed your first laps on the 1000cc Yamaha GP bike. Your team boss, Ponceral, your mentor Romola, and Cal said that you looked pretty much at home after the first few laps on the first day. But what can you improve on the bike and for yourself at the next test?
More laps is going to be the key thing. Trying to understand still the key factor of making a Yamaha M1 work around a racetrack.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's completely different riding style to what I've been used to. Also the electronics take a while to dial into your own personal preferences, let's say. Bridgestone tyres take a little bit, so I think it's just plenty of laps in the first test, and then we can worry more about, the small minor details. But, at the moment, it's just more laps, more understanding of how a Yamaha MotoGP bike works. Slowly, close that gap from 2 seconds to a little bit less. Unless you're in the 1 second barrier, you're not really close enough to where you need to be. And then work on, all the other things that I'm sure I'm going to have to do.
Cool. It's a bigger bike. Are you working on a training program as well?
Obviously, it's a bigger bike. It's not really heavier than what I've been riding, so definitely the transition from 125 to Moto 2 was a good, helping up for me. It's meant that this transition to MotoGP is easier than I expected. But yeah, the power, so there'll be a lot more, swimming and gym work rather than endless running and cycling. Working on more that strength side before the first test, and then we'll worry about the cardio from there on.
Actually, I was the guy who interviewed you at Goodwood this year.
Yes.
And at the moment, things were sort of looking up a little bit, and it didn't turn out right this year, did it? I mean, what happened this year that didn't really... You had the updates, you had the exhaust and the suspension was the updates that you had? And it didn't quite work out then the other day.
Yeah, basically the fairing was supposed to come and that didn't. It came for one race, I crashed it and then it went away again.
Yeah.
And the exhaust update, I thought that was going to give us the idea, didn't. But to be honest, I think a lot of it come down to there was cheating going on inside Moto 2 this year.
Okay.
We weren't one of those teams, and we suffered for it. We actually, there was nothing else that we could do as a team to make our bike faster. It was just slow. And yeah, when you got other teams cheating and other teams with budget, maybe bending the rules, let's say, and buying the necessary components to make a difference, then that's when you lose your time.
Yeah, that's something that Speed TV were talking about with Marquez and this whole thing he bought over the counter and it wasn't legal.
It wasn't just Marquez, there's a lot of riders going on.
Yeah. As I was saying, you've been the main developer for the Tech 3 chassis. What sort of chassis have you left Andy Kent, who's moving up as a multi-GP winner from Moto 3, into your bike from this year?
I would have liked to have changed a lot more than I was able to. There was definitely numerous ideas that I had during this season that we just didn't have the budget or the resources to change. But I've left them with the engineer, so it's down to them to do with them as they wish. It's definitely a better bike than I arrived with. And at certain racetracks I've already proved that I was P1 in sessions. And I've been fighting for the podium at certain racetracks. It's top 6, top 8 bike at some racetracks, and it's not a point scoring finish bike in others. It really is one of those ones. If it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. There's going to be a lot of riders riding with a Calyx and a Suter next year. I believe that both of those bikes are better than ours. So I think it will be a struggle for the team unless they do anything drastic to score, decent point scoring finishes next year, which obviously it doesn't make me very proud of what I was able to do, but I felt that I did the maximum that I could with what I had.
2 more. Has Cal been helping you, or will he help you in any way in the testing or next year?
Cal followed me for 6 laps in the MotoGP test. Straight away he told me to pick up the bike a lot more, especially with the electronics, get it up onto the fat of the tyre and drive, otherwise the electronics cut the power. And at the beginning I'm sure there'll be a lot of help. As the season goes on, I'm sure he'll lead me to it. Riders are riders and teammates are teammates, and competitors are competitors, so as things goes on I'm sure it will start to dwindle.
And what's your expectations for next year? What are your own personal goals and ambitions for next year?
put the bike where it deserves to be. You know, we've seen this year, you know, that the Yamaha was, you know, at certain races was a podium finisher with Dovizioso and Cal. It was a consistent top 6 finisher, so you know that's where I've got to put it. You know, understanding that I'm a rookie and it's going to take a bit more time, but at the end of the day, by the end of the season, I need to put that bike where it's capable of being.
Cool. Riley Smith, thank you very much.